Thank you, President. My question is for the Minister for Children and Disability. Yuruk heard that where the Department of Families, Fairness and Housing has concerns around an unborn Aboriginal child at risk of family violence, they will wait until the woman gives birth and then formally report to Child Protection. Rather than addressing the protective concerns and offering support to set the new mother up for success, she only finds out about the report when a Child Protection Officer turns up at the maternity ward. Recommendation 11 of the Yuruk report states that where the department receives a pre-birth report, that the pregnant Aboriginal woman is informed of the report by people capable of responding appropriately and offering a range of culturally safe support options. Can the Minister inform the House on the implementation of this recommendation?
Minister.
Thank you, President, and I thank Mr Ettershank for his question and indeed for his interest in these matters. I was indeed pleased to give evidence at the Yuruk Justice Commission and speak to the very issues that he is speaking with now, and indeed just last week I was meeting with services talking about these same issues. The reality is that until a child is born, there is no child to make a report for. And we all in this place can have views about where life begins and ends, and I think my views on that are well known in this chamber, but until the child is actually born, there is not a child for which a report can be made. That said, there is a process of wrapping around supports, and there are great examples of this right across the state, and indeed the example that often I use when talking about the supports and services that should be provided to expectant mothers in order to assist them in preparing themselves and their family for the birth of their child, whatever their circumstances, is that of the Bendigo and District Aboriginal Corporation. The work that they do in working with expectant mothers is absolutely, in my view, nation-leading, and I often in my acknowledgement of country when I'm visiting children's services talk about how we still have so much to learn from Aboriginal ways of knowing and doing when it comes to caring for children and families, and this is indeed one of the examples that so often is forefront in my mind because, and I don't want to quote statistics because I can't remember, I'm not sure what they are as of today in relation to this particular program at BDAC, but certainly in the time that they have had this program, and certainly when I first became aware of this program, the success rate was meaning that there were actually proving to be no removals. I think if there have been any, those numbers are at the moment still very low because that work in working with families who are expecting children and supporting those families is first rate. And there is other examples across the state in Aboriginal and in non-Aboriginal organisations about what is best practice when it comes to working with families to help them be in the best position to keep their family together. And indeed that is our overall objective, is how we can better support families to stay together. And indeed in the other place just today we are debating the Stable and Strong Families Bill, which I'm pleased there has been broad support for that being indicated, because that is also about making sure that all families receive the services and support at whatever their point of vulnerability is, in order to ensure that they can provide for their children in a way that enables their family to stay stable, to stay strong and to stay together. So
I'm sorry,
the work...
Time's expired. Mr Ettershank, supplementary.
Thank you, President. I do have that slight feeling of living in a parallel universe sometimes with these responses, because I don't think we actually got to responding on the Yuruk recommendation. But anyway, Aboriginal mothers subject to these pre-birth reports are often left to navigate the complexities of the child protection system with little access to independent legal advice or guidance. Recommendation 12 of the Yuruk report states when a pre-birth or a child protection report regarding an Aboriginal woman is made, the department must automatically notify a Victorian Aboriginal legal service provider such as JIRA for mothers and VALS for other caregivers. This would equip the mother with more knowledge and the confidence to engage with the process and lead to less children being removed. I ask, when will the government establish a child protection notification system to Aboriginal legal services as recommended by Yuruk, or is the government intent on creating a new stolen generation?
Minister.
Thank you, President. I don't know which part of that question to take issue with first, but I absolutely will start with rejecting the last statement that Mr Ettershank has made, and indeed I take great offence at it. I also take offence at the patronising tone in which he suggested that my answers represent a parallel universe when I spoke very specifically to the work that can happen when we are talking about supporting expectant mothers, both Aboriginal expectant mothers and other expectant mothers and their families, in providing services that help them and their families stay together. And as I said in my remarks to Mr Ettershank's substantive question, I was very pleased, and my evidence is available on the record, to speak to the Yuruk Justice Commission about these very specific issues. And as I have said, I am...
Ettershank, point of order.
Thank you, President. Look, I'd really appreciate it if the Minister could come within spitting distance of the question. So I've specifically asked about the implementation of Recommendation 12 of Yuruk. We've got a few seconds left and you've not come near there yet.
The Minister answered your second question immediately once you got to her feet. So if you ask a number of questions, the Minister has a right to pick one. So, Minister, do you want the 3 seconds? No.